My mentor was an old timer. He went back to the 30s and the 40s. And, he even knew Joe Valachi personally before Joe Valachi turned, who was one of the first turncoats. And he knew all those guys. You never heard anything with it, no, I never heard,
Okay.
I've only heard the rumors that everybody else has heard, and,
Well, maybe they wouldn't have told you even if they knew.
Well,
thanks.
The rumors I heard, too, if that was true, that action came out of the Chicago outfit.
Right.
So.
Thanks, Eddie. Appreciate the call. We're going to go to Mark here in my hometown of Las Vegas on Wildcard Line. Mark, good morning.
Hello.
What's on your mind?
Well, I have a question. This isn't directly related to the mob. This is more related to government observation and intimidation. And I know that your guest may not be able to answer it, but the question is, when it comes to just a regular citizen doing something that they believe is within the limits of the law, and then government agents come up to them and they intimidate them, and then they're told by other authorities, that what these government officials did was outside of the bounds of the law. What does your guest think about how this person should react? Should they just quiver and cower and hide? Or
are you talking about yourself, Mark? Are you talking about yourself? Somebody who's hassling you?
I took some pictures. I was up on BLM land, which is public government land, near Nellis Air Force Base, and I was taking some pictures of fighter jets, which is anyone can do in Las Vegas because the Nellis Air Force Base is right there. But there happened to be a police shooting range, and a couple of police officers and one officer with the ICE, which is the Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency, come up, and then after they harassed me, they quote-unquote trespassed me, which means that they had given me due notice that where I was not allowed to be. But I talked to the mayor of the city on a radio show the next day, and he told me I was within my rights. And this is not related to the mob, but this is related to federal police kind of intimidation. And what is your guess? Recommendation as far as whether or not someone should just steer clear, or should they stand up for their rights? Thanks.
Tony, thanks for the call there, Mark. Tony, you've had a lot of experience with police and with federal agents, and your experience is they pretty much can do whatever they want. At least some of them did, right?
Well, on the local level, if you're talking local cops, and I'm not talking, don't get me wrong, I'm not talking the young guys who get out of the academy and they're patrolling the streets, they're all gung-ho, they're full of vinegar and salt and ready to go. I'm talking about the seasoned cops that work their way into details like the Vice Squad and so forth, or the Public Moral Squad, or whatever they want to call themselves, coast to coast. And there's a lot of corruption there, and they will use not only intimidation, in my own personal experience, they will use physical violence if they have to, so, which is wrong, But, on the other hand, on the federal level, I found them nothing to be but perfect gentlemen. In fact, John Gotti even said it himself. Every time they came to arrest him, they addressed him as Mr. Gotti, and they walked him out, and they told him, they did things like the Department of Justice, they do things like gentlemen. They don't really try to intimidate you in that way, or they don't try to, in my own experience, they don't try, and other guys that I know, their experience, it's cut and dry. They come, they'll tell you what you're charged with, you come, and that's it.
And what would you suggest to Mark here in his situation? Any advice?
No, Mark, I don't know what you're dealing with there. You said you were on BLM land. I guess that's state land. I don't know why the federal police were involved there. It should have been, I guess, the state police.
No, it is federal land. BLM would be public.
It is federal land?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
And it's federal police. All right. These are uniformed cops, I guess? Hello?
I think Mark is gone, but I think they were probably. Are you there?
Yeah.
Okay, Mark is gone. I think probably there were.
Cops are flesh and blood. They're human beings, just like anybody else, subject to the same emotions that other human beings have, the same greed. Well, it's a matter of controlling things, in your life and in yourself. But you're all subject to the same feelings. So I don't know what happened to him. I don't know, Could I believe that happened? Yeah, I could. Should he stand up? Yeah, well, you could stand up, but you're going to take a beating. You're going to take a beating. If not physically, you're going to take a beating in the system. Okay?
Okay. Tony, we're going to try to take one more call before our next break. East of the Rockies, John. Good morning, John.
Yes. In the 60s, my car broke down. I got a ride with a gentleman. Let's call him Tony. He was a sniper in the Korean War. And we had a nice conversation. And he told me that his sister had been seeing somebody that his father didn't like, so that gentleman had one of his eyes put out. I told him there was something going on, and that there was going to be an attempt to try to straighten out America, and there was possibly a chemist or professor at the University of Chicago who was going to make some agents that could help in the effort. He looked at me. I don't think he really wanted to let me out of his car, but I did bail out at a stop sign. About a week later, that chemist had his wrists cut in the University of Chicago. Do you know about that, sir?
No, I don't know about too many things in Chicago. I was in Chicago 3 times in my life, and one of them was just a stop at Midway Airport to change to another plane. No, that I don't know anything about. I'm sorry.
John, thank you for that call. Maybe you can send me an email about that. I'm kind of interested in getting a little more information on it. Hey, Tony, before we go back to the phones, Amy Fisher, Joey Buttafuoco, they somehow came into your life, didn't they? Didn't Amy Fisher write something about you?
Well, no, Amy Fisher didn't. The woman that wrote a book, Sheila Weller, put me in the book because of my contact and an associate's contact with what we would call him was Joey Cocoa Pops. Turned out to be Joey Buttafuoco.
Well, was he trying to muscle in on the escort service business or something?
He was working for this woman in Long Island who had an escort agency, and she was dating the chief of police. And that's why nothing ever happened to her escort agency, because Long Island was pretty tough to actually operate out of. They were pretty stringent on closing places down. But she worked in a small town on Long Island, and because she was dating the chief of police, she wasn't closed down. She used Joey Buttafuoco because he was mesmerized by the industry, like a buff, and he liked young girls, And what he would do is he wound up meeting with her. I think she had a car fixed at his place or something. He had an auto body shop, auto repair shop or something. And she got into conversations with him, and he said he could supply her with young girls and this and that, and they entered into, like, he became a canvasser for her to find girls, But like his big mouth, he never really had to go, so we'd go out and search for girls. What he did was drivers and escorts in the city used to, congregate at certain diners, certain, convenience stores and hang out. You know what I'm saying? Get coffee, hang out. And there'd be a few of them there, there'd be known spots, and he managed to find out because he did know her, and she did run escorts, and she was able to tell him where some of the spots were, especially in Queens. And he would go there and hand out his card with a number on it to call him. He would go to different cars. As blatant as he was, the driver would be sitting there, and he'd go in there and he'd tell the girls, "Oh, you can make more money working for this place here. Give us a call," and this kind of stuff.
Hey, Tony, we're going to take a short break. Joey Buttafuoco, man, you've met some interesting people in your life. Stick around, everyone. We'll be back with more of your questions for Tony Nastasi. I'm George Knapp on Coast to Coast AM. We're heading into the home stretch, everyone, with our guest, Tony Nastasi, who's led an interesting life. He's not here selling a book or a movie. No such projects are in the works, although I'll tell you what, it's in light of all the encounters and adventures he's had with the likes of Vinny Aspirins and the Angel of Death, it would make a heck of a movie. It'd make a heck of a book, and maybe Tony should think about those projects somewhere along the line. It's different. It's a different story from other mobsters turned informants because he didn't get busted for anything. Nobody forced him into the situation. He looked around himself and didn't like what he saw, and that's why he decided to cooperate with the FBI, a decision that he now regrets.